Namaste, Namaste, Purnamaste. Everybody, welcome to the art of the word that I am from the heart, word of love. And today we are to speak about fear. Today we are to speak about fear. For many do not understand what it means. Fear has no power. Give it no focus. Do not follow it. Many think that they have to ignore fear, reject fear, ignore it completely, like it doesn't exist. It has no power. Fear has no power. Fear is a shadow, and shadow has no power on the light of love that you are when you know yourself. So when people, which are people that actually many times say that we are our ego is part of ourself. We should not be negative. These people are saying we should not be truthful and sincere. These are the people that get it completely wrong. They ignore fear. They don't deal with it. But in order for fear to have no power, to realize that fear has no power, not to follow it, and to know that it has no power, you have to know fear for what it is. You have to bring your unconscious to consciousness again. For fear has no power. But until it is unconscious, it is unconsciously controlling you, that you follow that fear, that you trust that fear, that you go after that fear, because it's unconscious. You don't know it for what it is. You trust it, you believe it, you follow it. And fear takes you in separation from self. It gives your power away to the power of darkness that has no power. For you choose to follow fear. For you choose to go after fear and do what fear tells you. And this is just because fear is unconscious. So you may pretend that there's no fear, but unconsciously it controls you. You know, you are not conscious of it for what it is. And then you feel fear, you are afraid, and you follow what fear tells you. You follow your fear. For fear is unconscious within you, and it unconsciously controls you. So people who reject fear and who don't want to deal with their fear, who just say we have to be positive, our ego is our part of ourselves, they don't bring their unconscious to consciousness. And unconsciously, their fear is actually unconsciously controlling them. Always. They do not even know that it controls them. They don't know it for what it is. And then in following fear, they give their power away. They are in separation of self in fear, unconscious of that fear. That's the unconscious shadow, the fear within. They are unconscious of the fear within themselves. So they see fear outside of themselves. as real, and it's not, and they follow it. So as long as they run away from their fears, they want to be positive, they don't focus on that fear. That fear is controlling them unconsciously. And all the tricks in the world that fear is actually spreading, and now are times of fear. And because fear is unconscious, they unconsciously follow that fear. And then they are in separation from self. They are separated from their power. For they don't know that fear has no power. You have to bring your unconscious to consciousness, your unconscious fear to consciousness for what it is. It has no power, only if you follow it. Then all the illusions of fear work on you. But as long as it's unconscious, you are unconscious of it. You feel and you follow it. You may not even know, you don't want to deal with it. But then unconscious, you following it. And then all the tricks of the matrix, all the tricks of fear that have no power, now actually in separation from self, they have power over you. For you are unconscious of that fear. It unconsciously controls you from the background. And until the unconscious is unconscious, that fear, it is to control you outside of yourself. So what it is said, it is a famous Zen proverb, samurai proverb. Under the sword lifted high, there is hell making you tremble. But go ahead, and you will arrive into the land of bliss. So how to deal with that fear? You have to go within. That's shadow work. You have to see that fear for what it is. Meditate to be in alignment with the source. Work on yourself. Do shadow work. Go within. And you have to experience and feel the fear and be there. Because it has only power over you as long as it's unconscious. You heal it. You bring it on the light for what it is. You see that when you follow it, it only takes you in separation from self. And things that you don't want to see, they come true. You work on them deeply. You may go in psychosis, you may go in ayahuasca trips, in psychedelics. You have to go within. Like it is said, if it's a snake of pits, if you want to overcome it, that snake of pits is fear. You have to jump in it. See it for what it is. Bring it to consciousness. So you can see that you are actually following it unconscious, and that's why it has power over you, because you give it power. You are unconscious of it. And then as you see your fear, you work on your fear, you experience your fear for what it is. You follow your fear, you see it only gives you suffering and hell on earth. Now you can start integrating your fear, healing your fear, bringing it to consciousness, which actually builds courage. So when you really go deep within your shadows, where your fears come from, how they bamboozle you into the hell that you don't want to see, how fear is actually taking away all the possibilities of love from you, everything what feels right and wants to take you away from your heaven for your greatest divine self. And you see the fear for what it is. When you follow it in suffering. It takes you in separation from self into the lowest dimensions, and then powers that have no power have power over you, tricks and illusions. And it takes you away from your heaven, from whatever it's divine for you, whatever the greatest dreams, your greatest heaven on earth, your greatest happiness. For you follow fear away from that. You see it for what it is. And now you are conscious of it. You have brought it to consciousness. You feel it for what it is. And you see it for what it is. It has no power, only for you are unconscious of it. Following it, it has power over you. And you know it. You are conscious of it. Where does it come from? What does it do? Takes you away in separation from self, away from everything what your heart desires, from all the possibilities of love. It traps you into the cage of contraction when nothing is possible but that fear. And then when you are conscious of it, you feel that fear. That fear is within you. And you are a lion. You are a lion. You choose not to follow fear. For you know fear for what it is. You know if you follow fear, it takes you in separation from yourself. It takes you away from your heaven to hell that you don't want to see, to everything what you don't want to see. Takes your immune system down. Takes you in separation from self. Things that have no power, dead things have power over you. Takes you in lowest dimensions of existence. And you feel it for what it is. And now you are conscious of it. You see it for what it is. So you do not follow it. Because you know fear for what it is, how it destroys you, how it creates suffering in your life, makes all your fears come true and takes you away from all your dreams. And if you follow it, you suffer. So you choose not to follow fear. And now when fear is brought to light, you have courage to choose love, to follow love, and no fear. Under the sword lifted high, there is hell underneath making you tremble, but go ahead and you will arrive to the land of bliss. You have to understand when you are unconscious of it, it controls you unconsciously. In that fear that has no power. For unconscious of it, you are following it. And just because you are unconscious of it, following it, it takes you into suffering. And it has power. And when you realize that only if you choose love now, only if you trust love, if you choose not to follow that fear, it feels like fear. For no reason. There is no lion in front of you. There is nobody sticking a gun on your head. It's just some fear, projection of the fear, separation from self, trying to take your all dreams away, projecting the worst fears. And you see that it only wants to take you in separation from self, and it has no power. And then you can choose love. Then you can choose love and follow love consciously. And when you trust and choose love and you follow love, you always see that you go away from all suffering and your fears do not come true, but in mysterious way everything works out and you are saved from dangers. For you choose to follow love, to trust in love, to have faith in love, to not to follow fear. And then you master yourself. For you learn that you experience, feel, you know fear for what it is. You know where it comes from within you. You know what it does. And you know when you were following it, it only gives you hell and suffering. And when you choose to follow love, what feels right, in mysterious way, you trust and have faith regardless the odds. And you choose not to follow fear, you choose love. Miracles happen in mysterious ways. Miracles happen. You avoid great dangers that are promised if you follow fear. And impossible outcomes. Things work out in greatest heavenly abundance in mysterious ways. And you don't even know how. And the powers that may enslave others may be nice to you and give you love. And you are conscious of it. You feel that if you follow fear, the fear will come true. Fear will have power. You will suffer. You will get that fear come true. And then you know you have a choice to follow fear or choose love. And you feel fear. You know fear for what it is. You experience it for what it is. And you choose to follow love. So this is what it means. Fear has no power. Never follow fear. Focus on love. Trust in love. Have faith in love. Focus on good news. What brings your vibration high. To fly high. And focus on love. And you cannot focus on love if fear is unconsciously controlling you. That's why what we are saying to you, don't focus on the fear in this world, on people spreading fear around you, trying to take your vibration down in fear, spreading bad news. You watch news that spread fear and take you in separation from self. This we do not. Do not choose fear. What you choosing fear? Reject fear that comes outside of you, in news, in people that do not trust in love but spread fear. Reject bad news, don't follow fear. But you have to work on yourself. You have to work on yourself. You have to indeed focus on the fear that is within you. You have to work deeply on that fear that is within you. Meditate so you are in alignment with yourself. Then meditate, go within yourself. Feel your fear for what it is. Experience it. Go in meditation. Go deep in shadow work. If you have strong mind, take ayahuasca. Take psychedelics. Face your fears for what it is. Experience them, where they come from, how they were created. Go deep within your fears. Where did they lead you always when you follow them? What did they take you away from? What are they? And then you realize they are not real. You bring it to consciousness on the light. You integrate that fear. It's darkness, it's separation from self, trying to actually pull you away and push you into your hell, away from your heaven and your greatest divine self, into separation from self on hell on earth. and you always feel that fear. But you don't follow it, for you trust in love. You trust in love. You don't follow fear. You don't follow fear, for you are love. And you are now here. So it's same like people who say ego is part of us. We should love our ego. But they are objecting teachings speaking to you what ego does, that is blames you and is afraid of you for who you are and always wants to take you away in fear and guilt, take you in separation from self, away from everything your heart desires. People who say you have to be always positive are the same people who actually do not understand what it means not to follow fear, not to choose fear. They ignore fear, they don't want to deal with it, they are pretending that they are positive. But unconsciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, that fear always controls them. They are always following it, even spreading it. But they must be positive. They must be positive. And they are not getting the message that fear has no power. They should not follow it because they are unconscious of it. They don't even know it for what it is. Like they don't want to know what is ego, and ego is controlling them and blaming them always unconsciously. Afraid of them, fear is part of ego. They don't want to know what is fear. They ignore it completely, and they are always following that fear, and that fear is taking them into suffering. And what they are afraid of, but they don't want to see it in themselves. The truth is, you have to go within that shadow. You have to see the fear for what it is. Like my grandfather said, fear is not real. Inside it is hollow, outside is nothing. But he knew this because he was almost killed in concentration camp. I mean, tortured completely. He came home somehow. Against all the odds, he should die and freeze. He was actually an agent into SS Brigade. He was agent from opposition. He was infiltrating special agent in the Germans. But not for the Germans. He was working for Yugoslavia. They were connected with all this, I don't know, European stuff. But he was infiltrating, pretending that he is SS agent. To snitch and spy on SS Brigade. He was a tough motherfucker. And he survived all that. He survived torture. He survived concentration camp. He came home somehow. And doctors told him he will die in 3 years. He lived for 40 years more. They told him he will die from smoking cigarettes. He lived for 8 years more. And when he said, fear is not real, outside it is nothing, and inside fear is hollow, he actually knew that. He experienced all the fear. He was tortured. He almost froze to death. He almost died in the concentration camp. He got caught for being an infiltrator. You know, a rat in the German special dark brigade. Whew. So naturally, things were not pretty for him. But he came home and he died from old age. And he was always saying, fear is not real, my boy. Fear is not real. Inside it is hollow. Outside there's nothing. He did great service. He helped in his way to dismantle the German project by being in the by being in a hornet's nest, pretending he's one of them. Whoa, 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 whoa. And saying we have to go in our hornet nest, in our shadow, in our darkness. to bring it to consciousness, to bring our unconscious to consciousness, to unite our darkness with light, so our darkness doesn't anymore oppose our light and blames us for what we are and afraid of us for what we are. So we overcome it, we heal it, we see it in ourselves for what it is. Fear is there in us and has no power, and is taking entire world into separation from self, so that in separation from their self they give their power away. And they do it just because they are unconscious of their fear, and that's why they choose fear, because they are unconscious of it. And you see that fear outside of yourself is actually fear within you, and you know fear for what it is, and just that's why, because your unconscious is brought to consciousness, you choose not to feel it, you choose not to follow it. You choose not to go after it. You actually reject it and choose to follow love, because you experience and feel the fear for what it is, and you know the fear for what it is. You have to deal with it deeply. And you know what fear is, that it takes you in separation from self, that actually you give your power away to powers that have no power, and fear gives them power away. Fear has no power and gives power to illusions that have no power over you, because unconscious of it, you follow it and you see it has no power. And then you know fear for what it is, and you feel it, afraid within you. You feel that fear. You are not afraid, but you feel the fear. And now conscious of it, that it has no power, and only if you follow it, it has power. You choose to follow love. You choose to follow love from the heart. You know. So you are unconscious. You are conscious of your consciousness. Unconscious. And you are no more following the fear outside of yourself, believing fear outside of yourself, spreading fear outside of yourself. But you see, this fear is within you, conscious, healed, integrated with the light. It does not anymore oppose you, attack you. Your darkness is supporting your light as a dark sky supports the stars. And it no more opposes you. It no more opposes it in the world. And now you are spreading by choosing love always and never fear. You know fear for what it is. And you see it in the world that it has no power and is actually unconsciously controlling everyone. So you do everything to heal that fear in the world. To tell people to work on their fear, to work on their shadows. To tell people to spread the word, to spread the teachings, so that people do not follow, that rather work on the fear that is within them, not focus on fear spread it outside of them. So they realize also that the fear within them is fear outside of them, and it has no power, and you actually work only to heal that fear in the world, to present it for what it is, so people work on their shadows. They don't follow fear, they are conscious of it. And on the light, they choose to follow love. You are no more following fear. You are no more spreading fear. You are no more focusing on fear. But you are spreading love in the world and trying to heal the fear, to bring it to consciousness. It has no power, so people can see it in themselves. Heal it within themselves, integrate it within themselves, bring it to light, bring it to consciousness, so they can start also choose to follow love. So they don't no more follow fear. The game changes. You want to free humanity of the fear. So the humanity conquers the fear and doesn't choose fear anymore. So the fear doesn't unconsciously anymore control humanity. And then we can choose love from the heart by being conscious of that fear. Because the one thing is, people who say we have to be positive, we should not focus on it, they are not saying what I'm saying. They are actually saying to people to stay unconscious of their fear, to pretend it is not there. And then what they are unconscious of, what they do not deal with in themselves, then all the tricks of the matrix, all the spreading fear and deceptions, as they are unconscious of the fear within them, now they have control over them. Now they work on them. Now they deceive them and cheat them and trick them, because they are unconscious of it within themselves. That's why it is crucial that you deal with your fear. That you know your fear for what it is. You experience it. Bring it to consciousness. Go deeply into your fear to know what the fear is. You know, you have to go deeply into your fear to know what the fear is. So you know it for what it is. And then you bring it to light, you bring it unconscious to consciousness. You integrate your darkness with your light, your fear. It's integrated, it's not unconscious, but integrated within you. And you know what is integrated and healed within you has no power in the world over you anymore. And that's why this is false ascension matrix, telling you to always be positive, not to be truthful and sincere, to pretend your ego is part of you, and to pretend that there's no fear and that you don't have to deal with it. It's actually enabling you. It's enabling you so that tricks of the matrix have power over you because you are unconscious of it and they work on you. Because you didn't integrate it within yourself. Your fear is unconscious. Separation from yourself. But when you bring it to consciousness, it's integrated. Known for what it is, experienced for what it is. You know it for what it is within you. It has no power. That's why in the world, now the tricks and deceptions of spreading fear and illusions with fear have no power over you. Because you actually dealt with your fear. You know that it has no power. Only if you follow it. And you know what are the circumstances if you follow it. You know it for what it is. You brought your darkness to light. Your fear is integrated. And the fears in the world no more work on you. And that's why they are spreading fear, the cabal. But they want you to unconsciously follow fear. And whoever is preaching that you should be unconscious of the fear, which actually they are saying when they say to ignore fear and be always positive and pretend how you feel. This is not what Abraham Hicks is saying. It's not what we are saying. These people are actually saying same thing. And the Abraham Hicks is saying same thing as I say, but in her way. But people can understand out of it. And also out of my teachings people can understand. So it is. That they should ignore fear, not deal with it, run away from it. But spiritual master, teachings of a spiritual master, only spiritual master understands. Everybody else sees their level of consciousness in such teachings. You know. And so it is. So I explain further, not for you to think about it but feel. We are telling you to deal with your fear, to experience the separation, the you know, to experience the separation, to experience the shadow, to know it for what it is. For otherwise, what these people which are spreading that you have to be always positive, that you have to always pretend, they are actually, the cabal is very happy with what they are doing because they are telling people to stay unconscious of their ego, of their fear. So unconsciously, unconscious of it, it controls them. Because when you integrate your shadow, when you integrate your fear, it has no power over you anymore. It's over. They have no power. Only when you are unconscious of the darkness of the fear within you, it has power over you in this world. But when you are conscious of it within you, when you integrate it with your light, it has no power anymore. It's integrated within you. It's not unconsciously controlling you in the world, but you are the source of darkness and light. Your darkness supports your light as a dark sky. You are no more in separation from yourself. You are no more in separation from darkness and light. You thinking you are the darkness, blaming the light that you are, attacking, and see it outside of yourself, following it, opposing, attacking, and following it, that fear. But enlightenment is not seeing the darkness anymore outside of you, blaming others, attacking others, following fear, but see it within yourself, and it's no more in opposition, blaming your light. You are no more in separation from self, being that shadow, blaming the light that you are, seeing it outside of yourself, also blaming it outside of yourself, following it outside of yourself. But your opposites are united. Your darkness serves your light as dark sky serves your light to shine. It supports you. It stands up for you. Doesn't attack the light of others. Stands up for your light. And allows no one to attack you with the darkness. And no fear, no darkness to control you. And then when darkness, fear is integrated within you, it has no power. You are not at separation. It's integrated within you. You don't follow fear anymore. In integrated state, they have no power. And then you really know fear for what it is. You choose to follow love from the heart. You choose love. For you know fear for what it is. You see fear for what it is. And fear has no power over you anymore. But you feel it always. You experience it. But you are conscious of it. And you don't go against how you feel. And you trust and you have faith in love. You choose love. Conscious of your fear. And that's why fear in the world has no power over you. Because now when they are spreading this fear all over the world, fear can control humanity only if humanity is unconscious of that fear and believes them. You know, because they are unconscious of the fear within them, unconscious of the tricks that fear plays. But when humanity is to integrate their fear, work on their fear, bring their darkness to light, bring their unconscious to consciousness, their darkness doesn't anymore oppose them, attacks them. Fear doesn't unconsciously control them. So outside the darkness in this world and spreading fear and control cannot control them anymore. They are in their power, knowing the fear, integrated darkness within themselves. They are whole and complete, darkness and light. Whole and complete, darkness and light united, being source that I am, source of darkness and light in human body. And and they are conscious of the darkness within them, integrated. No darkness, no fear can have power over you. And that's why they want in this world. Only so you follow fear, you focus on fear, and you don't know what the fear is within you. So that fear is to unconsciously control you. And if you pretend that fear within you don't exist and you don't want to deal with it, then all this bad news and all this spreading of fear is just unconsciously making you to follow that fear. You know? And that's how they have power over humanity. For humanity is unconscious of the fear within them. So the fear can control them. And they can control them with fear outside of them. But when humanity knows their self, source of darkness and light, source of all sources, power of all power, fear has no power and all the darkness is dissolved in the light. You know? How beautiful it is. And they lose the power. And that's why you have to work on yourself. You have to experience your fear. You have to go deep in your fear. Deal with it. So you know your fear for what it is, what it does. You're conscious of it. You bring it to light. You heal it. You integrate it. And you can choose love. For fear doesn't unconsciously anymore control you. And then you know that love is the power of all powers. And fear has no power. If you follow fear, it takes you into separation from self, that all powers that have no power have power over you. You know it, for you experience it, for you brought it to consciousness. That's why you don't follow it. And you know that love is all power of all powers. In love, all powers that have no power over you. And you are the power of all powers. And darkness is dissolved in the light, and fear has no power. And you are the power of all powers. That actually fear is afraid of who you are. Your integrated, whole and complete being, darkness and light united. Darkness is in separation from self, is afraid of you, for you are whole and complete. And then you know that actually what is happening is the darkness is afraid of you. And it has no power, and it's only spreading fear, for it's afraid of you, afraid of your power. So you unconscious of your fear, follow that fear. But when you bring your darkness to light, unite your darkness and light, bring your unconscious to consciousness, bring your fear to the light. They have no power. Their illusions are seen on the light for what they are, and they are dissolved in your light. They can control you over in fear. And then when you know that they are actually afraid of you, and they are so much afraid of you, then you know that only if you follow fear, you can make their illusions to come true. And you laugh, because not only that fear has no power, fear is not real, as inside is hollow, outside is nothing, but fear is actually afraid of you, for you are the power of all powers. The magic has always been within you, but in fear they took you in separation from self, so you created your fears to come true. But you are the power of all powers that they are afraid. And when you are integrated, whole and complete, your darkness and light one, your darkness serves the light. Their service is over. Their darkness is transmuted into the light. They have no power. That's why. Work on yourself. Do shadow work. Know your fear for what it is. Go deep within your fear. Experience it. And then You can bring it to consciousness. You can bring your darkness to light. So you can choose never to follow fear again, for you know fear for what it is, from the light. And you can always follow love from the heart, and fear never unconsciously controls you. That's what I give you my word today on, for not to follow fear and choose love, and to know that fear has no power. You have to know the fear for what it is. You have to dive deep into the snake pit to come in the other side out and see that snakes were illusions. That's why I give you my word today. For you are love now and not fear. So don't be unconscious of yourself, unconsciously being that fear. But you are not that fear. Know that fear for what it is, separation from self. Choose love now from the heart. Choose heaven and earth in alignment with yourself. Fear has no power. You are the power of all powers. Love that I am. And that's why I give you my word. And if anybody feels like you want to offer a donation, like you want to offer a support to the art of the word that I am, you know that without of your donation, there would be no art of the word that I am. No. Thank you. I'm a teacher, Zen master, spiritual master. I don't like messengers. I don't like Facebook lives. I like nature. I don't like living on Facebook, and all these things, social media. I cannot stand it. But I love to teach, and I want to bring you every day when I can teachings. And now it's summer, and now I'll be out for 2-3 days in the week, and not so much quantity, but so much quantity I'm to give you. I'm to try every day when I can make a video, and all when I can make a video and article. And this is what I do. And there will be no art of the world that I am without you. But now we have to start a little bit living. It's summer. I'll be giving you my word always. Maybe not every day, because I go playing flute 2 times per week. And 1 time per week something beautiful happens like this. I'll be giving you as much as I can. 5 days per week for sure. Something is coming. Because I cannot stop. I cannot stop. I just have to do it. I have to do it. I give you my word. And if anybody feels like you want to offer a donation to the art of the word that I am, you offer support, do know that without of you there will be no art of the word that I am. And I'm so grateful from the heart. Let all the blessings come to you if there's any in my heart. Thank you. May the answer be revealed in you in the silence of the mind. I don't have it. The answer is you in your being. And I don't stay in debt. For everybody who ever offers me donation, I actually do a healing on your beautiful being. In silence of the mind, I say nothing. I just gave you my word. I am very clairsentient. I'm so clairsentient from birth. Highly active, autistic. I feel everything. Feeling is my first sight. I only need to see your email address. I connect with your energy. I do white light source healing on you. Profound healing. I take my time. I take my energy. For I'm so grateful that you have given me the energy that actually I require so much, and I'm so grateful so I can stay in this world, the madman that I am, and help people to get free of this world. Thank you from the heart of hearts. That's why I do healing on you. But I cannot heal you. You heal yourself only when you choose to work on your shadow, to work on your fear, to go deep in your fear, to experience your fear. And stop focusing on fears of this world and bad news on fears of this world and spreading it. Deal with your own fear. If you are focusing on fear of this world, if you are pretending there is no fear, pretending you are positive, try to be afraid inside, you are afraid inside, you're not dealing with fear. In both cases, nobody can heal you. You remain in need of healing, in separation from self, fear controlling you. If you choose to deal with your fear, you heal yourself. deep from within, you realize fear have no power, and you don't control it anymore, for you are conscious of it within yourself. And you heal yourself, you save yourself. I only give you my word that I do healing on you for every single donation. Don't say anything, I won't say anything. You have my word, I do it for every single donation. It's a gift for your gift. Thank you. And every one of you, please, I give you my word. Fear has no power. But you have to work on yourself. You have to do shadow work. You have to work on your fear. You have to bring your unconscious to consciousness. You have to heal it. So then you are conscious of it. You have courage to follow love. Always choose love and never fear. Only this way you can know that fear has no power. And if you follow fear, it gives powers that have no power over you. And only in this way you know that love is that power, and you always choose love, for you know fear for what it is. You brought your unconscious to consciousness. Fear is not the real. You choose love, you focus on love. And I give you my word, I want to give you my word again on something. When I say don't focus on fear, don't focus on bad news. Choose love. I'm telling you not to focus on bad news in the world, on media, on people that spread fear, people that take you down in separation from self. No, know it for what it is. This is to take you in separation from yourself. But you are informed what's happening in the world. You are not unconscious of it, so it doesn't control you. But you deal and do your shadow work and work with your fears within you. So you bring it to consciousness, so they unconsciously do not control you anymore in fear and with fear this world. This is what is meant. So then you can know fear for what it is. Never follow fear, and you choose love, for you are conscious of that fear. You're not focusing on bad news in the world, and people give energy to people who bring it. But you are dealing with fear within yourself. So fear outside of you cannot control you anymore. That's how it is. That's how it is. So you bring your unconscious to consciousness. So they have no power when you integrate your fear and know that fear has no power. For you are the power of all powers, and fear is all powers they have, and fear has no power. And when you know yourself in integration, your darkness and light united as one, they have no power over you anymore. No fear can control you. They are afraid of you. They are afraid of just that you integrate your shadow, that you conquer your fears, and you bring your unconscious to consciousness. So you integrate your fear and you choose to follow love. That's why they are afraid of you. They are afraid of you, love. So that's why they want you to fear. For you are power of all powers, and you are now here, and they have no power in your power. I give you my word from the heart. Purnamaste, Purnamaste.